Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we've got the free Friday ratings already available for everybody, and this analysis is also going to be free for everybody, not just Premium and Pro members. Obviously Premium and Pro members, you'll get Saturday's analysis tomorrow. Free members, you won't actually hear that until Saturday. Obviously Premium and Pro members, you heard most of this or read most of this yesterday. You're going to just we're just going to recap it again, and Saturday's analysis you've also already received, so check your inboxes for those if you haven't noticed them. So this is for everybody. We'll start off looking at the 12:05, the 2 mile novices hurdle, where we like Kingston Queen. And we think she is going to take all of the beating here. We are respectful of Old Park Star, who was winning a good race. We thought at, was it Ascot that Old Park Star won at last time out? Let's have a look. No, Kempton. We thought it was a good race, beating On La Vie, but crucially was getting £6 or £3 from those around him. And we think that probably was the reason why he was able to win that race. In terms of here, he's actually giving weight to Kingston Queen because she's a mare. He's a 5-year-old as well, as Kingston Queen, and we think that's key here as well. That's the other reason we like Kingston Queen over the other horse that we like, Lisbane Park, who we thought was very, very impressive when winning for this team at Exeter. We think he'll step forward, but we think being a 4-year-old, he may find it a bit tough against some of the 5-year-olds, including Kingston Queen. So Kingston Queen gets weight off of both of those. Is a 5-year-old compared to Lisbane Park, and we think it's just a better performance than what Old Park Star did. Kingston Queen obviously beat Cryptic Jim last time out. That form has worked out quite nicely with Cryptic Jim winning again, or winning himself next time out. Yeah, we think Kingston Queen is the one to beat here. She has been priced accordingly, as I'm sure you're aware if you're keeping a track of odds and stuff. She's 2-1 joint favourite with Old Park Star. We think she'll beat Old Park Star. We think Lisbane Park will run a nice race as well, so we'll be keeping an eye on this race for sure. But we hope that Kingston Queen does step forward from her effort last time out, even though it was a win. We think there's more to come. Moving on to the 12:40, which is the 2.5 mile novices chase, where you can see some of the R figures even. This R figure here at Huntingdon was a great effort from Caliphate on Vol. We think Caliphate on Vol will demonstrate that he's better than what he's taking on here. So some of his efforts last season, as I mentioned, were pretty good. Second behind the New Lion in a novices hurdle. In actual fact, beating Electric Mason and Friendship that day. Now obviously Friendship has done well, Electric Mason has done well, both winning feature handicaps. The New Lion went on to win the 2.5 mile novices hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival. Caliphate and Vol, there was no, what's the word, not disrespect, no harm in finishing second there. It was a very good effort. I can't think of the word that I'm looking for. Then went to Huntingdon, won that with a really good R figure, and then last time out was seen finishing 6th in a Grade 1. A decent Grade 1. Would any of these have competed in that sort of level? Not for me. 6 Mile Bridge, he doesn't convince me, sorry. I still don't think he's quite at this level. Got to remember, he finished 9th in the Albert Bartlett, in the Turners, sorry, behind the New Lion, but well behind. Was really disappointing. That for me isn't good enough form, and Caliphate and Vol got a lot closer to the New Lion than 6 Mile Bridge did. I think the other two are probably aiming for handicaps down the line. The Dan Skelton trained Royal Infantry, I think that's a handicapper in the making, and Tin 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 should be well outclassed here. Roll at the weights by a mile, shouldn't be anywhere near good enough. Caliphate and Vol therefore is the standout selection in this race. I think he's going to take all of the beating, priced accordingly again, 11-8 in most places. Move on to the 115, and you can see that I've selected two here that I was frustrated that both of them got declared. The first one is Fortune de Mer, who wants this big field. Ideally, would have wanted even more. I think this horse is going to really come into his own when he's in 16 runner, plus runner handicaps. He just needs to be dropped on the line in front, which they managed to do at Cheltenham in the Grade 2 back in October. Held up right out the back, drifted massively in the odds, went out to 14 to 1. We'd picked him that day and he went and won for us. Needs to be dropped on the line, got dropped on the line and managed to win at Cheltenham. Then last time out at Ascot, travelled like the winner for all of the race and then just didn't pick up late on. Now, initially it looked a poor result. Finishing second, you're like, oh, maybe he's not as progressive. To be fair to him, the horse that beat him had won a bumper at Kempton and then had won 3 races, 2 at Uttoxeter, and then came into handicap company off 119 and won as well. So was making it 4 wins on the bounce, trust in times. Was probably very much underestimated. The third horse was the French trained Inner Success, or probably said Inner Success, if you're French, and that could have been, if he was as well handicapped as they suggested he was, then Fortune de Mer beating him and finishing not that far behind Trust in Times was probably a very good effort. I think Fortune de Mer will really appreciate this bigger field, Harry's going to wait as long as possible. Harry is going to ride this with supreme confidence, and he's just got to get it right. If he does finish second or third, people will initially go, Harry, you've got that wrong. I think he's just very tricky though, so Harry's going to try, I'm sure, to win this race and end up in the county hurdle down the line. Now, the other horse that I am going to have a little savour on is Iberico Lord, because I do think he's nicely handicapped. Coming back down, he's back down to a mark of 138. Now, I thought he was nicely handicapped for the Greatwood, and he went off 15 to 2, never put in the race. And I thought that was very interesting with future races in mind. I do wonder, again, whether this is the race that they're going for, but unfortunately we keep having horses that go and win races when we're like, oh, he's really well handicapped but doesn't need to win this because he's got another race that would suit more. So we've got to have a savour on him just in case they get it wrong, in my opinion, and win this race. It's only worth 13 grand, this race. He's well handicapped on his Betfair hurdle form, which is now called the William Hill hurdle, when he beat Lo de Sud, he beat Go Dante, Doddy the Great, Favour, Knickerbocker Glory, Our Champ. Further back was the likes of Outer Belly, Look Away. It was a really good Betfair hurdle. And he won that off 134. He's only rated 138 now. But that's the key here, in my opinion. If he gets beat and, say, dropped £2, he could go back to Newbury for that race in February, what's now called the William Hill hurdle, and be £2 higher than when winning it relatively comfortably in a very, very deep race. That would be the logical plan with him. But as I've said, trainers so often get it wrong. They put him in races that they end up going to win. This is a much easier race than what he has been running in. That would be the concern, that he could actually go and win this. So I've got to have a little savour on him. If he does get beat, it won't bother me too much. I hope he gets comfortably beat and drops £2 or £3, so he can end up in that William Hill hurdle very well handicapped. Let's have a look at the odds for this race. We can see that Fortune de Mer is 7 to 2, whilst Iberico Lord is available at 6s. I would love to see Iberico Lord drift out to 14s, 16s, 18s, 20 and run a terrible race, even though we're having a bet on him, and Fortune de Mer to get there on the line and pick them all up. Moving on to the 150, which is the 3 mile 2 handicap chase, featuring Lompress, who is obviously very talented, but he's trained by Venetia Williams, so I don't want to get involved in that one. I've got 2 in the race I like. One of them is similar to Iberico Lord, in that this is the wrong race to win. And that one is Heracles Westwood. The problem is, Heracles Westwood has actually won both times, last 2 seasons, on his second run of the season. So we were keeping an eye out for him. But the problem is he's £9 out of the handicap. So if he won that, he's got to go up £9 at least, because he's £9 out of the handicap, running off a mark that he shouldn't be running off. I think it's a terrible, terrible entry. I'm really disappointed with it. But, as I've said, trainers so often get it wrong. They run him in the wrong races, they go and win, and then, can't win throughout the rest of the season. This horse could just be very well handicapped. And if he is and goes and wins this, then they've missed a trick by not winning a handicap first, an easier one, and then coming into a race like this and running off a higher mark, but their correct mark at that point. If he does disappoint, which I'm hoping he does, the horse I think who's got the best chance, therefore, of winning would be Henry's Friend. Now, as I've said, I don't like the Venetia Williams trained horse, but Henry's Friend, to be fair to him, that effort last time out when beating the Changing Man, Blow Your Wad, Snipe, Neon Moon, that's pretty good form, I think. Blow Your Wad is favourite for a race on Saturday, I think. Hasn't been declared. He's favourite for the Silver Cup at Ascot next weekend. The runner-up obviously ran well in the Coral Gold Cup. 5th, Neon Moon, has come out and won. It's working out quite nicely, the race. And Henry's Friend beat them. And he wasn't beating them through luck sort of thing. He was bouncing back to the form that they kind of expected him to be in, and the ability for him to show when he was finishing 5th in a Coral Gold Cup. He's got some really smart form. I think off 146 he will go really well here in a race that I can put negatives about quite a few of them. I'm hoping L'Empresse isn't good enough on the basis that, or isn't ready, and Venetia Williams' horses are running poorly, and I'm hoping Heracles Westwood is just too far out the handicap to be winning this. So yeah, Henry's Friend is my main selection, but again I will be having a saver on Heracles Westwood just in case. Which is strange considering they're the wrong way round in the betting in my opinion. Henry's Friend is available at 8s and Heracles Westwood is available at 6s. Moving on to the 225, which is the Veterans Handicap Chase, where we like Fugitive here. Now, we backed him last time at Cheltenham. He ran a disappointing effort, finishing back in 5th. He went off the 7-2 joint favourite that day. He does run well at Cheltenham. That was probably his first time that he'd really disappointed when he looked to have a big chance. Handicapper dropped him another £2, which I think is very helpful. Maybe he just needed the run. He was coming into that race off the back of 7 months off the track. Might have just needed the run. You could argue that his run in the Paddy Power last year on his first run back wasn't as good as next time up in the December Gold Cup, where he finished a decent 3rd. A similar performance to that, and an improvement like that, he's probably going to go very close here. I know he's a long way down our ratings, but I kind of feel that his back form is good enough. He is nicely handicapped. He's just run a couple of poor races recently. But at this sort of level, I would expect him to go very close. Currently available at... Remember, he went off to the 7-2 joint favourite last time out in a similar race. This time he is available at 5s. If you liked him last time and you want to forgive him that run, which I do, he's a decent price. Moving on to the 3 o'clock, which is the Glenfarclas Cross Country Handicap Chase, and you can see who I'm going for. I've already spoken about this to our Premium and Pro members. Mr. Coffey. I know people will hate that and go, he hasn't won in so long. You're right, he hasn't. But to be fair to him, his efforts in this type of race have been pretty good. He was 2nd in this race last year behind Stumptown. That is a huge effort behind Stumptown. The time before that, in November, the race that was abandoned this year, he'd finished 2nd to Sweet David. Another huge effort. Little bit disappointing in the cross country at the Cheltenham Festival when he was only 5th. But I kind of feel that they changed it a little bit, how they went to ride him. I think they're going to be very patient again. They're going to wait. They're going to try and respond and finish really quickly. He ran a really nice race on his return behind Eldorado Allen in the Veterans Handicap Chase at Cheltenham. Clearly wanted to step up and trip. He gets that. I think he's going to go really well. And hopefully Nicolas de Boinville will just keep pushing away early enough that he's then finishing strongly. I don't feel this is the strongest cross-country race. It doesn't feature a Sweet David. It doesn't feature a stump down. This is the time for Mr. Coffee to get his nose back in front. And you can see he's currently available at 6s. And finally, the last race is the 335, which is a 3-mile handicap hurdle. This is probably the one I'm least confident on, that I least like in terms of the race makeup, because it's a 3-mile handicap hurdle where is Ollie Murphy trying, and is Sean Bowen trying with this horse, long draw, or are they already working back from the Temps final? He's qualified for the Temps final. Tranquil Sea for the Skeltons is not, and maybe actually he is, I beg your pardon, he is qualified, and maybe actually needs to win a race to get in. Obviously he was beaten by the very well handicapped Say Different last time. It's a tricky one because I feel like Long Draw has the better form, but maybe Tranquil Sea is the most likely on the basis that he needs to go up in the weights to get in. It's a really horrible race. I'm probably going to just stick with Long Draw and hope that we get that right. Hope that the Skelton's Tranquil Sea isn't as progressive as they could be. But it's not my most favourite race of the day at all. I will probably be steering clear too much of that. I'll just have a small bet on Long Draw. So going through the races, let's have a look for my nap next best and third best. I think my nap is going to be Kingston's Green is going to be my third best. Calafay and Vol will be my nap. And let's go for good old Mr. Coffee as my next best. So they will be my 3 for the nap competition. Get involved, it's free to enter, and there are prizes to be won.